people think because you've won a Premier League or a Champions League, it makes you a great pundit. It actually doesn't. Why are England winning a World Cup? Well, one, you say it every time, don't you? There's a tournament. Why they would do it this time around as opposed to next? I think the manager, the mentality. I think the players are in the perfect position to win it. Well, I'm Jason McAteer. My current role is I'm an ambassador for Liverpool Football Club, and I work in the media for beIN Sports, which is obviously in Qatar. So yeah, that's what I predominantly do. And I've embarked on an educational journey with VSI over the last 3 years, which is continuing. And I'm an ambassador for one of the current executive diplomas with the UN, which they've collaborated with. So loving life at the minute.
Busy?
Traveling, busy, yeah, traveling and just all over the place, and dipping my fingers into different environments and different areas, and it's just ongoing. Football just never stops, does it?
Nah, I can imagine. So tell us why you're here today then.
Well, first of all, I'm here to support Tony and Andy and Rob. Like I said, probably a bit of a long-winded answer. Working in the media, I kind of got to a point where I wanted a bit of a career change, but I felt a bit of a fraud in the sense of, like, football evolves and changes, and lots of different things happen in football that I couldn't quite put my finger on why. And I think you'd have to go into the kind of minutiae, or the kind of different elements of actually what happens with football, whether it's recruitment, data, analytics. We're seeing lots of different business models from Brighton, Brentford, Crystal Palace, and then you go into the top six and their expectations completely different. Looking at, FFP and how teams push the boundaries, why players get sold when fans can't understand it, the role of the sporting director, role of CEOs, the business side of things. I'm heavily involved in commercial at Liverpool, so I was in rooms with CEOs, trying to have conversations about them through business and sport, and realising I was inept in the conversation. I was kind of an imposter. The imposter syndrome was kicking in, and I just thought, I need to do something about it. So the career change was ultimately I want to be a sporting director, but obviously I needed to learn, I needed to understand it. So I had an interview with the guys, highly recommended the course with VSI, and because I've got no academic background, I needed to have an interview to get on the course. I had 2 interviews, they accepted, and I went on a 2-year educational master's journey, which I passed in January, which was amazing. And I sat down with the lads and thought, I don't want this journey to end. I've got an appetite for learning, education. My networking was growing. I love being in different environments, and do you know what? This environment puts me with people that I can relate to, that understand, that are just really nice people to be around. And I'm really comfortable in this environment. The football environment can be a bit
toxic.
Yeah, it can be, and it's very egocentric. And I find that difficult sometimes, being in that kind of company. People think because you've won a Premier League or a Champions League, it makes you a great pundit. It actually doesn't. Education makes you a great pundit. Preparation, being around educated people and understanding the game and what your role is. Because you're doing players and football clubs an injustice if you just turn around saying they've made decisions on a whim. It doesn't work like that. So here I am, 3 years later, as an ambassador for VSI, about to embark on a trip to America to talk for the UN. So loving life here.
Quality. And
sorry for that long-winded answer.
No, that's fine. So tell me about education then. How important do you think education is for professionals these days, especially those that want to have a career post their professional playing career?
From my experience, I always wanted to be a footballer as a kid, and even back then, sort of 11, 12, 13, 14, the real informative years where you're growing from a kid into adolescence, into a man, to adulthood. I just wanted to be a footballer. Sport was my life, and education took a backseat to that. And that would be bunking off lessons and not concentrating, and couldn't wait to get home to watch Liverpool if they were on the telly, or should have been doing my own work and was watching, I don't know, Grandstand or, that kind of thing. So education wasn't really at the forefront. It only came to light when I was 15 and realised that football wasn't really going to happen. And don't get me wrong, the dream was always kept alive by my mum and my family, and there was no internet and iPads and social media to tell you really that the dream was never going to happen. Nowadays it's a much more difficult place to hold a dream, isn't it? But back then it was achievable. So I just wanted to be a footballer. So threw all my eggs in one basket. Didn't happen at 15. Went to college and studied graphic design because I liked art. And it was college, and it was, saved other things as well. And then lucky enough, I found myself in a position where I was playing for Marine Reserves, which was a semi-professional team, but they're reserves. And it was in a league where we played against Manchester United A team, which was the kids. So I would have played against Giggs and all the kids coming through, Liverpool, Robbie and McAteer, and then obviously Blackburn and Bolton. And I had a really good game against Bolton. And I was signed as a pro at 20 years of age. And then you think it's going to last forever. I worked hard at being a footballer, practicing, learning the trade because I had no apprenticeship or YTS. And I got caught up in the fact that this was going to last forever and I was going to spend the rest of my life in football. And then at 36 you leave and it's like a light switch. And, unfortunately I went into a depression, I had a breakdown, had some real problems, mental health problems, which I addressed over 8 or 9 months. Got myself into the media, went back into the game, realised I didn't want to coach. And then, the media then took hold of me and, I worked for beIN Sports and was very loyal to them as they've been loyal to me. But I got to maybe 4 years ago and thought, being Jakes and McAteers is just not going to get you a job. You've got to walk now into a C-suite or, an interview and be heavy-handed in the sense of, your CV's got to be loaded with academic studies now. You've got to know what you're talking about. It's a numbers game now. CEOs, people who own football clubs, they're all risk averse. They want to know if the numbers stack up. They don't want to take too many risks. They want to know if you're spending 80 million, am I going to get a return? Yeah. So it was important to me. And then I just loved it. I had a massive appetite for learning. And like I said, I'm in around great people. Tracks I think. And I'm always prodding and probing. I've become a bit of a why kid. Like, why do we do it? Why do we do that? Why do you do this? Why? So, and you just absorb.
Amazing. So, what's been the one thing that you've loved about the VSI course?
That's a pretty difficult question because there's lots of different aspects of it. I think the one thing I would highly promote about VSI is the level of care from the likes of Tony and Andy and Rob. Whenever I ring them with a problem, and listen, it might not just be a problem with I can't get on the computer because the network's gone down, or I can't access that because Microsoft and Apple don't. I rang them up after I finished the course, and well, do you know what? I didn't ring them up. They rang me after my results come in and were like so made up for me, but genuinely made up. And then Tony has never been off the phone, and Tony, met up with me afterwards and was basically like, what now? And I'm like, well, this is what I want to do, Tony, and this is where I want to be. Listen, breaking into football is not easy, especially at the sporting director level, because, for one reason or another, it's a very closed shop. Tony was like, listen, it might not happen this season, might not next season, but let's keep this journey going, and we can do something together. And I can put you into this network, or I can put you into this. Little things like this today, turning up today. Okay, it's support, but it's a networking session as well, isn't it? And meeting great fellas. And I've just said before, I love being in this company. No one's here to. I get the feeling, and this is I don't think anyone's out to stab anyone in the back. I just get the feeling everyone's out to help each other. Yeah. And if we can help each other in whatever way, even just a chat, it works.
Nice.
Why are England winning the World Cup this summer?
That's a better question. It's definitely not coming back to Ireland, which I'm gutted about because we almost got there.
It's gutting, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was, and we just had a bit of a restructure, and the country we needed it. We have a great relationship with sport and people, and the whole environment gets a big lift. The whole country gets a big lift, and I was in the good times of Ireland, so I know what it's like, and I fell for the lads. I fell for the country. I fell for the FAI.
The way it happened as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I did both games. They did unbelievably well with Hungary and Portugal, put himself in that position. And then obviously the Czech game, they were up against it, but they put themselves in a great position. And like you say, penalty just before half time's killer. And then they were hanging on, set piece. And then, nightmare, but listen, that happens to me. Why are England winning a World Cup? Well, one, you say it every time, don't you? There's a tournament, you're always winning it. Which, in a professional capacity, I think puts England in a harmful position. I think it's a very difficult position to deal with.
Especially
the expectation.
Listen,
it's the ultimate prize, isn't it? World Cup. So, why they would do it this time around as opposed to next? I think the manager, the mentality. I think the players are in the perfect position to win it with experience. And I say that because they've been together now a while. They know what to expect. I think they can go in handling the expectation of being one of the favourites. Yeah. I think they've got talent in every area of the pitch. But I think ego aside, which I think could be your downfall, I think if you put that aside and players accept they might not play this game, or they might be subbed that game, or there's going to be a tactical switch which might not suit certain individuals, they've got to take that on the chin. If they can do that, they can come together as a unit, you've got probably the best opportunity.
We'll see. Right, so lastly, a quick one. If we can do your teammates five-a-side team. So,
played with or played
with. So, Jason McAteers, teammates five-a-side.
In any order or just spit them out?
Let's start with keeper. And why?
Right, so my keeper, I play with some great keepers. I'd go Shea Given, because he can play out. He's actually a really good player out.
Well, these days.
Yeah.
In this current scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great with his feet. Plus, Shea wasn't the biggest, but really agile.
Yeah.
So, smaller goals, agility. Don't need to fill it, but he's very, competent in goal, but can come out and play. Right. So, Shea would be in goal.
Defender?
I'd go with Paul McGrath in his prime.
Yeah.
Prime Paul McGrath.
What, Villa Paul McGrath or United?
Oh.
Or both?
Mixture of both, yeah.
Nice.
And then I'd go, for lots of different reasons, Paul McGrath.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, Steven Gerrard would get in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Shea Given, Paul McGrath, Steven Gerrard, Robbie Fowler, and that leaves me with one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or am I in? Or am I just...
Stick yourself in.
No, I can't in this team.
Nah?
No, I'm going to go...
Another midfielder, yeah?
Yeah. But I want creativity. Can I have them in the prime? Because I might not have played with them in the prime, but I played with them. Barnsley.
Oh, what a player.
I'm spoiled.
What a team, to be fair, yeah. You haven't put yourself in there?
No, I'll just manage.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not getting in that team.
That was class.
I enjoyed that.
That was brilliant.